So good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me come and talk to you this morning, and thanks for coming to the session. I'm joining from the Cell and Gene Therapy Catapult, and I'm going to be talking about our activities recently on automation and digitization to improve patient access to the fantastic therapies that we're all working on. A brief background on the Cell and Gene Therapy Catapult, for those of you who don't know us. We're an independent innovation and technology organization who can work on the really early stage risky new technologies, working to deploy them within a manufacturing setting. And our vision is to create a thriving industry delivering life-changing therapies or advanced therapies to the world. And we very much do that in collaboration with a variety of stakeholders to pull together our respective expertise as a greater sum of the parts. We've now got a team of about 450 people employed within the organization across 4 different sites. And we work with a whole variety of stakeholders from academics, SMEs, pharma companies, technology developers on the topics that I'm going to talk through now. So we've established a whole range of capabilities to deliver against our 6 objectives. And I'm not going to go into these in too much detail here. I'm going to dive into a few of these over the next few slides. But this ranges from small-scale process analytical development, looking to bring in innovative new technologies to improve production and manufacture. And then we also have support teams and services around sort of regulatory affairs expertise, non-clinical safety, and health economics that can really help guide and direct some of the work that we're doing within either a manufacturing setting, but obviously also progressing those products towards the clinic. And we work very much shaping the environment, not just in the UK, but the regulatory frameworks and roadmaps that we align with internationally. So Catapult was established 12 years ago. And this was the picture of the cell and gene therapy landscape then. So a gene therapy approved that year. Chondra selector and autologous cell therapy was approved only 3 years before. But we were all aware that obviously there was a huge growing preclinical pipeline of exciting research starting to come through. And this is the landscape now. It doesn't matter that you can't necessarily read all the names on here or the indications, but it's a picture that says that there's many more therapies that have been approved for a whole variety of indications. Approvals from the FDA and EMA are steadily increasing. And what I really love about this slide is that when I drafted it and submitted it last week, that it's now actually immediately out of date with 2 new extended approvals happening last week for Abecma and Carvykti, just kind of feeding into the message of this slide, really. Obviously, the early therapies and CAR-Ts that were approved were kind of a last resort treatment option for those patients. But in 2022, we saw 2 of those therapies move up the prioritization line for treatment as second-line treatments for these patients. And obviously with Abecma and Carvykti last week, they're joining this list, showing that these products are coming closer to the frontline treatment options. And what this means is that there's now more eligible patients that can receive ATMPs. And the populations that we're able to treat are getting much, much bigger. Obviously, more indications that might be open to treatment, but also the numbers of patients within those treatments, so the patient populations are becoming bigger as well. Some data or figures taken from the ARM report published in December showed that there was about 26,000 rare disease patients that may have been eligible for an ATMP treatment last year. With the recent sickle cell approvals earlier in the year, this has now doubled the number of rare disease patients that are eligible for these type of treatments. And a study done by McKinsey a couple of years ago now just showed the growth or the expected growth of eligible patient populations for CAR-T treatment. This is about 500,000 only a few years ago, probably near to 1 million eligible patients now. And by 2029, we're expecting there'll be 2 million eligible patients for CAR-T, which is fantastic. But whilst they're eligible, not all of these patients are getting equitable access to these therapies. This study performed just over a year ago showed that 40% of patients with multiple myeloma had to wait a year to receive a CAR-T therapy, and unfortunately 26% of these died while waiting for those products. Around the same time, it was estimated that only 4,000 doses of CAR-T were being manufactured at that point in time, where there was 500,000 possible eligible patients. So there's clearly a huge gap to meet that promise. So backtracking a few slides, to meet that estimated 2 million eligible patients by 2029, going to need to make 500 times more doses in that time period. Obviously, there's a number of ways that we can do this, and there's no single magic bullet to be able to meet that demand. But at Cell and Gene Therapy Catapult recently, we're really focusing on automation and digitization to improve throughput and improve productivity and enabling those next generation manufacturing processes that are going to help us achieve wider patient access and cost-effective commercialization. I think we're probably all aware that it is possible to achieve a more order of magnitude improvement on where we're at the moment. Many of the processes are still sort of relatively manual, ineffective, and error-prone. And the figures on the right are from a study by a consultancy firm last year. There are several other studies, different numbers, but similar message that manual processes are sort of low yield, low productivity, but we estimate within the same footprints and with the same number of personnel, just implementing high throughput automated solutions will dramatically improve and increase the number of doses that we can produce per year. But with this comes a whole new number of challenges and barriers that we need to address. Cell and gene therapy manufacturing processes are complicated in themselves already, but then trying to deploy automation, digitization, and better control these processes adds another layer of complexity. With that, then there's the additional funding and cost challenges that we have to face in implementing those changes, and the additional time and expertise that's needed. And for many companies, it's unclear what that value proposition really is. Are these solutions that you're going to be investing time and money in? Are they really going to create that step change improvement? How long are you going to need to actually see that return on investment? Are they going to be accepted by the regulators? We know they want to see more closed processes with some of the recent updates, but exactly how they're going to be approved and received, we're unsure. And underlying kind of a lot of the ATMP industry at the moment is the lack of skills. The number of personnel that are expert in these areas and have the proven expertise to work with these technologies. So at the Cell and Gene Therapy Catapult, we've now established our automation and digitization test beds. We're going to be collaborating with industry to deliver new technologies, new innovations, demonstrate and deploy them within a GMP-relevant manufacturing environment. And we're focusing on 3 key pillars to help deliver these test beds and benefits to our partners. So firstly, working with the actual technologies within these processes. We work within this kind of bioprocess control framework, moving from understanding, characterizing the processes, identifying the critical quality attributes, the full design space around the processes, selecting suitable sensor technologies with the relevant sensitivity and robust data, and then allowing us to identify patterns, trends within these data sets, identifying soft sensors and establishing models to predict where the manufacturing processes are moving towards, and then ultimately having feedback control to be able to make real-time automated decisions and improving the process productivity and effectiveness. So some examples of the work we've done in this space. We've recently coordinated a 24-party consortium evaluating a number of different PAT sensor technologies and bioreactor technologies, trying to understand their relevance, applicability, and sensitivity for monitoring CAR-T processes. This has demonstrated new applications for PAT technologies and generated a really robust, detailed process characterization data set that we're now exploring and looking to control. More recently, we've then taken some of those sensor selections and some novel analytics in partnership with Rentschler and Refine to develop advanced process control for an AAV manufacturing process. So using things like Refine's mass photometry for empty full characterization, integrating that in line, along with things like Raman spectroscopy for real-time monitoring of a process. We're able to develop digital twins for the AAV manufacturing process and feed-forward control models to make real-time decisions whilst monitoring. And I think one of the most exciting things from our team about this is the fact that they're able to sit at home on a weekend looking at the process data on an app rather than having to be in all day, every day, sort of taking manual samples, performing the analysis themselves, and there's a level of autonomy around the process now. But of course, all of this data that's being generated needs to be coordinated, and we need robust platforms to be able to integrate and do some of this analysis for us. So we're working with SecureCell and their Numerum Lucullus platforms, which deploys 21 CFR Part 11 compliant PIMs and automated high throughput sampling to sample at a real high throughput, perform the analysis automatically inline, and then upload the data to cloud systems for monitoring and real-time assessment. And this has allowed us to develop those digital twins and be able to control those processes. But of course, monitoring the process, both from process development and manufacturing point of view, is only one part of the picture. We're working with Autonomous on their end-to-end platform, enabling automation of and eventually faster QC release. And this takes data from across the entire supply chain, from the healthcare setting, from the patient manufacturing, supply chain, warehouse, and coordinates it in a single platform. And then finally, we've established these GMP accelerated test beds, bringing together all of these technologies and digital architecture in a MHRA licensed facility. So they're co-located next to GMP modules. It's fitted out as GMP modules, but not sort of quite fully GMP qualified for these rooms. With the full operational and expertise of running this GMP facility, we're going to be establishing our automated robots and systems in this facility to demonstrate de-risk deployment of these technologies, really show that the value proposition, the return on investment, and the improved process performance that you can achieve deploying some of these approaches. So benefiting from the expertise, the quality in the team, and de-risking your investment and deployment of these technologies to ultimately benefit your companies and ultimately the patients at the end as well. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope open to any questions that you might have. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. We have a booth in the area, so if you do have any questions, please feel free to drop by, and look forward to catching up with you all over the next few days. Thanks.